moving on, we're going to get into our reviews. We got Yellowjackets, Season 2, Episode 2. What did you think of this episode, dear?
I didn't like it that much.
How come? Oh, this is a spoiler review. We're spoiling it because we have to talk about something. Yep.
I just think it was a whole lot of the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole lot of the same.
That we've seen for the last 11 episodes.
They're starting to like hallucinate or something, and we're seeing that, so you don't know what's real and what's not as a hallucination. I found this episode, it's the same as the last episode. It's just more of it. It's going downhill.
Well, this episode was called Edible Complex.
I didn't like it
now,
at all.
The last episode that I watched, because at the end of season 1, I was very much on the fence. And so when watching the first episode of this season, I was still on the fence, and I'm like, is this going to go on? Now, they kind of dialed back some of the wackiness, but now it's getting into, they're going crazy.
Yeah.
Shauna is talking to her dead friend. Okay.
Doing her hair and makeup.
Doing her hair. Her ear fell off, and then she ate it last episode.
That's too much.
And, well, they're starving.
And the coach is now afraid of them.
Okay. Because in this episode, they find out that Shauna she put makeup on her dead friend.
Did her hair.
And she was braiding her hair, but it was also to cover up the ear that fell off. Yeah.
She's hallucinating.
She cut a piece of a chunk of her arm out and ate it because, she's hungry. Yeah. And she's going crazy.
There's a lot of
So
problems.
they find out that she's been talking to and posing, and they're like, this is weird. They're like, well, we can't bury the body. We're burning it.
She's been doing it for 3 months.
She's been doing it for a while, right? How long are they
3 months, they said.
How long is this winter in this place?
So it must be in Canada.
They decide they're going to burn her. So they build a pyre, and they burn her. But then there's a wind, and a bunch of snow gets thrown on it. So it only gets half cooked. And so
barbecued.
So then they're sitting inside, and they're like, what's that smell? So they smell the barbecued remains, and they're starving to death. So all the girls go outside, and Hector.
Yeah.
And that's how the episode ends. They eat her.
Well, they should have eaten her anyway. There's a problem with this show.
But the coach doesn't, and he's like freaked out. He goes back inside, which means he's next. Okay.
Well, I don't think he's next, but
I think he is.
But the problem is with this show, we've got people up in the mountains. I think this is probably in Alberta or somewhere it's filmed. Anyway, and they don't have hats on. Their skin is fine. They're out in the snow all the time. They would be freezing to death. You cannot stay outside like that for hours. It's silly.
Remember, this is television, so it's television production.
It's not
There
realistic.
is a bunch of compositing in it,
Doesn't matter.
I can tell when they're against a green screen.
But it's stupid because they should be showing them all the things they have to do to melt the water, to make, to melt the snow. They should be chopping more wood. But instead they're showing them do all these other stupid things. They would all be dead by now.
They're arguing over dumb things, so like they have a pee bucket and someone took a crap in it, which if you're starving, you're not going to have that much
They all
bowel.
should be constipated at this point. Anyway, it's just kind of unrealistic.
Yeah, and that's why I'm starting to check out on this.
And all this hallucinations, and we're seeing, and now Travis actually did kill himself, and that was just lame. I don't know. The explanations are starting to come out, and they're not meeting up to my expectations. I'm not liking
this is kind of lost syndrome.
I might continue watching it, but this is just the same again, and I don't think it's realistic at all. The girls would all have frostbite. They wouldn't be outside all the time, just hanging out in the yard.
No, well, they're always complaining when they have to go outside.
No. In this episode, they're all outside for numerous hours, just walking around, and it's like under 0 degrees.
Well, Thaisa goes sleepwalking
again,
and almost walks off a cliff, which, I mean, really?
Yeah, and then she falls asleep and thinks that her son is home, and he's not home. And
they're copying a lot of other things. You know what that's copying? That's copying Moon Knight. She goes to sleep, she's tied up, so apparently she wakes up, cuts the rope, and then goes sleepwalking, all while she's asleep. I'm like, really? So she's got multiple personality syndrome? So they're copying Oscar Isaac and Moon Knight.
There are people that do sleepwalk. It is an issue. I mean, we have had some sad problems with that. People have walked off
But
balconies and everything.
but she's when she's later on, when she's an adult,
no
she's
one
doing
would
like these
notice her?
weird shrines with a
No one-
dead dog, and
No one would notice
she
her.
has no memory of it.
I mean, coming down the ladder, walking on all the girls sleeping, going out the door, you would notice. And the other thing that they're not realizing, when you're in a cabin in the woods, you can hear everything. You can hear the people that are down at the lake. You can hear them say just normal words. When you're in an actual cabin in the woods, you can hear everything. And they would be hearing all the stuff that's going on.
They do have the fire going all the time.
No. You haven't been in a cabin in the middle of the woods. I have.
I have. It
You
sucks.
can hear everybody. You can hear them.
Which is why it's
like
most
50
horror
feet
movies.
away. You can hear people across the lake talking. You can hear everything when you're in the real woods. Anyway, it's not making sense.
Are you tapping out on this show
I'll
yet?
continue watching it, but I really think it's going downhill.
I'm going to continue watching it. This one was called Edible Complex, which I guess is a play on Oedipus Complex, but this has nothing to do with an Oedipus Complex. It's because they eat their dead friend. What's her name there? Do you remember what that girl's name was?
No, that's you ask it. I can't remember it. But anyway, It's just silly.
I'm looking.
They should have eaten her from the get-go.
Jackie.
They would have eaten her.
Jackie. So she was talking to her dead friend Jackie, and now they've eaten her.
They should have eaten her.
This has become... They're caught. I mean, they're taking the premise from the movie Alive. They're stuck out in the middle of nowhere and they're starving to death, and there's dead people. Although that was in where's that? That was in the Himalayas. This is in the U.S. How long have they been there now?
They're up in the
8 months,
mountains
10 months?
where people aren't there. Also, there's avalanches and everything. Like, those kids would not be walking in those mountains.
It's still the U.S.
And there'd
They'd
be
be
so
able
much.
to find them.
No, they might not. There's many up in the mountains there. There's nobody up there. However, there wouldn't be just this much snow. There would be so much snow you could not trek like they're trekking. They're just unrealistic. These people that are making the show have never been in winter. It's obvious. They've never experienced winter.
Yeah, it's only
That's obvious.
only like maybe 15 centimeters of snow on the ground.
Up in the mountains? Like,
yeah,
give
in the
me
wilderness,
a break.
no.
It doesn't make
Even
any
if this
sense.
is in the Appalachians or in the Rockies, you get way more snow.
Oh, there'd be tons of
Way
snow.
more.
Anyway, it doesn't make sense. I hate that, as you know. I
Okay.
hate things that aren't realistic.
Yeah. This
Driving me
season
nuts.
has 10 episodes.
Oh, how far are we at? What one are we at now?
Well, that was number 2.
It was only number 2?
Yeah, it
Oh,
just
God.
started last week.
Okay,
remember?
well, we'll see. I don't
Well, I'm
know.
gonna keep checking it out,
I'll
but
watch it,
it's
but-
getting a bit worse. I mean, last season with the plane, that was ridiculous. There's no way that would have worked. When the girl took off in the plane in the woods, I mean, come on. There's no runway.
Well, no, but she did explode.
Yeah,
And that's what should have happened.
Yeah, I don't think it would have even got off the ground.
I don't know. It depends on a lot of
But-
things, but the gas would have been old.
This is becoming,
Anyway.
it's starting to become too unrealistic. It's drawn out too much. They're copying a lot of other properties and not
It's
in
like
a good
Lost
way.
mixed with, like, yeah.
Alive and copying things from other properties as well. So, and I'm starting to wane on this. I might not continue watching it. Are you a big fan of Yellowjackets? People were talking about it a lot during the first season. I didn't get to watch it when it was new.
I don't know.
You've heard our thoughts. Let us know what you think of Yellowjackets. Big fan? Or do you feel how we are? Maybe you hated it? Let us know down in the comments below, please.